Hey, what's going on everyone? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning back into another video. Today we're going to talk about something different, a video I've wanted to make for a while, and that is the different styles of calisthenics. Now, throughout the video, I'm going to be showcasing talented athletes in the chosen style, which I will talk about. I feel like it's a good video to make because many people may not know the different styles and the different paths they can take with calisthenics. You know, you may just see one person doing it and they feel like that's calisthenics, but there's so many different ways you can train it, and that's the beauty of the sport. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. And I just want to throw a disclaimer. Now, I'm going to be giving my opinion and sharing the pros and cons of every single style, but if you do train this style already and if you're watching this video, I hope it doesn't offend you, and it's just my personal opinion, so please don't get offended. I don't mean to offend you specifically, and whatever I say, please don't take it personally. I just mean it as a whole, and that's just my opinion about the style. Okay, so the first style of calisthenics is going to be sets and reps, aka endurance, aka military calisthenics. Now, this is a great style of calisthenics, and I think that everybody in their journey has done this style and this form of calisthenics. This is what I did in the very beginning of my journey, and what it simply is basic movements done to a higher volume. So you're going to be doing things like pull-ups, dips, push-ups, pike push-ups, squats, things like that, and you're just going to be doing a high amount of reps. And the pros are it's going to build great endurance, great muscular endurance. It's going to build loads of muscle mass. If you see any of these guys that do train calisthenics, they tend to typically be pretty shredded or pretty jacked. And yeah, they use it in the military to train and become strong and have good muscular endurance. So yeah, it's a great way to train, and it sets you up amazing for the skills down the line. So I believe everybody should start here. And I would say the only cons of doing the sets and reps of calisthenics is that you're limited to the amount of movements you do. You know, like I said, it's really just the basics. You know, I know there's also muscle ups. You know, people add in muscle ups and do reps of muscle ups and, you know, pistol squats and things like that, but they don't really do so many different variations. And yeah, we'll get into the different styles and you will see the comparison. But I would say that's the only con with that one. It can just be quite black and white, a little bit plain. So yeah. But with saying that, you know, you can obviously do crazy pull-up variations, and you can take things further to an intermediate, even advanced level. Like some of these military guys do, you know, they do those archer pull-ups, typewriter pull-ups, and they look super awesome. So yeah, you can definitely go down that route, but majority of people that train this style of calisthenics just really focus on the basics. So that's what you will be kind of tied down to. The second style of calisthenics is balancing, aka life on hands, or the mobility kings and queens. Now, this is an awesome style to me. I love watching people that train specifically mobility and balancing. These guys tend to be very flexible, you know, have great ranges of motion in their mobility, in their hips, their shoulders, and they can do crazy handstands, you know, hollow back, one arm, you know, even one arm flags, and yeah, they do crazy variations, and it's amazing to watch in real life. Also, these people are super nice, great souls, you know, great people all around the world that train this stuff. They're very humble and just great people to meet, and they're very chill. And yeah, I feel like if I wasn't doing what I do, the style I do, I'd probably go more towards balancing, because yeah, it's super chill. And the only con for me is it's not enough. I'm a bit of a hothead and I need something more intense and more harder to satisfy me in my workouts. So I need something where you apply more of your strength. So, you know, this one, I'm not saying it's easy. It does take a lot of strength. It does take a lot of mobility, but you know, it's not kind of the same as the other styles. So that's why I don't choose to do this one, but really love and respect everybody that does this one. The third style of calisthenics is going to be dynamics, aka freestyle. Now this one simply reminds me of my skateboarding days. I don't know if you know that, but I used to take skateboarding really seriously in my teenage years, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. And when I started calisthenics, after I did the sets and reps and the military style calisthenics, once I built enough strength there, I actually went towards dynamics. And yeah, it's awesome. You know, there's so many different skills you can learn. You know, this style of calisthenics can be seen as very flashy because you're doing a lot of flips and spins, and you know, you're doing them in a combination, and it just looks epic to the people that do it, and it's crazy impressive. And you know, the pros are, it's extremely fun, it looks cool, it allows you to be creative and express yourself doing different skills, showing your style, bringing it to the bars, and it's just super awesome. Now the cons of it is that it can be quite dangerous, and you know, I feel like the people that are really good at it are actually very young, and the people that I've seen do insane shit, you know, not even 20 years old, and you know, they're students, so they haven't got loads of responsibilities, and if they get injured, you know, they can afford to get injured. But as you get older, you know, as you become an adult, you know, you can't really afford to hurt yourself because that's probably going to affect your work and, you know, your general lifestyle. So that's the con of it. You know, it can, you know, and I've had people, you know, some of my clients that have got injured with it, and yeah, it affects their work and it sucks. And yeah, so that's really a big one. Then another con I would say is you need access to a good bar, and it's actually very hard to find in the world. I don't know if you watching this, if you have access to a really good bar where there's just loads of space around you, you have space to fall, and it's actually really hard to find a bar like that. You know, of course, places in Europe, you know, they designed some calisthenic parks to have these bars, and so, you know, the people that go there tend to take up this style. But, you know, places like UK, you know, even in America, there isn't loads of, you know, places with a good bar. So it's something that it's not completely accessible to people unless you build your own. I did. I built one in my back garden because, yeah, I really wanted to, you know, get into dynamics and also have a bar in private, which is great. So you can do that. And then another con would be it's hard to do when you're alone. You kind of need to have people around you just in case something happens, because it is dangerous if you do hurt yourself. And if you're on your own, you know, like, it's just, yeah, you just gotta have friends or someone around you. And yeah, again, like, you know, if you want to go and none of your friends are available, what, you're just gonna go on your own? It's like, it's tough. And I've definitely done it on my own, and it's never the same training on your own than it is with other people. And I feel like, yeah, you know, you do have to train with others when you go to do this, just for that safety factor. But of course, you know, if it's your thing, you can go for it. I like training on my own, but, you know, doing that on your own is a little bit of a different story. So I would say that's the downside, but it is an amazing style. And yeah, the reason why I quit was because I injured myself, not doing dynamics, doing something completely different and stupid. And that actually stopped me from training. And then in that time where I had to think about what I really wanted to do, I actually wanted to go into a different style of calisthenics and come away from the dynamics, because I realized, okay, if I hurt myself this bad doing dynamics, it's going to affect my training and everything else. So I need to do something that's going to suit me a little bit more. So that's kind of why I stopped, but I still love watching it, and it's insane watching it in real life. The things that people are doing nowadays, and especially the kids, is just beyond. And then the fourth style of calisthenics is statics, aka combinations or power dynamics. You know, I don't know how you could word this one. You could just say statics, but what power dynamics, where that would kind of come into it, would be doing elements like the planche and then following it with a planche push-up or a planche press or a front lever pull-up, that would be a power dynamic compared to a regular dynamic, where that takes more explosive power and just really good coordination. The statics take a lot of strength, a lot of balance, also coordination, but it tends to be harder on the strength side. So that's why they could be called power dynamic combinations. But static elements are just holds, isometric holds, in usually a horizontal position, like the planche, front lever, back lever. A handstand can come into a static, but that's more low intensity, so you wouldn't class it as that. Things like Maltese, it's the most impressive stuff. The stuff you see online, the people doing it on their fingers, doing crazy combinations, is just mind-blowing, and it's awesome to watch. And yeah, seeing it in real life as well is just beyond. Now, the pros of it is, you're gonna get an extreme level of strength. You're gonna condition your tendons and joints, over time. If you train safely, they will become extremely strong, and that strength is also very transferable to the gym. So, you don't even have to lift weights, and you would be able to lift a lot of weight, even if you've never tried, just because you're constantly holding up your entire body weight, which takes a lot of strength. So yeah, it's extremely impressive and it's very respected. So that's some of the big benefits. Now, the cons is that it's very hard, and it takes a long time, and it takes a certain type of mindset to even get to that point, because a lot of people give up because it's really hard and it takes a long time, and a part of it has also to do with genetics. It's a lot easier for the people that are shorter and lighter compared to the guys that are taller and heavier. So most of the people that I've met around the world that are, the best in the world, they are, 20 to even 30 kilos lighter than I am, and they're much shorter. So for them, it's much more accessible to get to a crazy amount of level. But for somebody like me, I'm above 80 kilos, I'm above 180 centimeters. It's going to be harder. It's not impossible, but it's just going to take a lot longer, and it's going to take more patience and more training. And yeah, it's just the way it is. It's the truth. So, the guy that's 60 kilos and 160 centimeters is going to progress way faster than the guy that's 80 kilos and 180 centimeters. So that's just something to consider. However, it is a great way to train, and I believe that if you do train calisthenics, you should apply some sort of static elements to your training, because it just builds a crazy amount of strength, and it is really, really great. So this is my chosen style of calisthenics, and I've been doing it for like 2 years. I'm still struggling, but I'm getting on all right, and it's going good, and I enjoy it so much. But yeah, I feel like within the next year or two, I'm gonna get to the next level where I can see myself training. And yeah, with time, it's gonna get there, and I'm gonna continue to train this way. It's worked out for me this far. I've never gotten injured. I've never experienced any pain, because I've took my time, I've researched, I've worked with coaches to understand how to do this safely and correctly. So when you know these things, you can stay safe. And some people do get injured, but that's only because they're training with their ego and they're trying something that they shouldn't be. So as long as you stay safe, and as long as you always stay within your reach and progressively overload each time you go, then you're gonna get on all right. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the statics. And the fifth style of calisthenics is weighted calisthenics. Now, this one is very similar to the sets and reps and endurance. Of course, you're just not doing the same amount of volume, you're not doing the same amount of reps, because now you're doing the movements weighted. So you're doing weighted pull-ups, weighted dip, weighted muscle up, even squats, and they do competitions for this type of stuff. Personally, this has never drawn me, and this I've never even experienced doing weighted calisthenics. I mean, I've tried a weighted pull-up and I've tried a weighted dip just for fun, but I've never gone back to do the same training session to try and improve. I've just tried it and it wasn't for me. However, if it is for you and if you do train this way, then of course, you know, it's for you, but simply this style isn't for me. However, the pros of this chosen style is that it will build a lot of strength and it will actually build a lot of muscle mass too, because you're going to be progressively overloading these movements like you would in the gym. You know, the gym or bodybuilding, I should say, focuses more on hypertrophy, and you can progressively overload your exercises quite easy just by adding on more weight. But with calisthenics, it can be quite hard, especially with the statics, for example, but it's still possible because all you do is you work your way up in progressions. So you go from tuck planche to an advanced tuck planche and so on, and that way you progressively overload that way. But with weighted calisthenics, again, you can take the bodybuilding aspect into this, or the powerlifting aspect, and just add more weight to the movement, and that way you will become stronger, meaning, you know, you will put on more muscle mass as long as you eat in a calorie surplus, because that's how you build muscle. But that's not what we're covering today. And yeah, so weighted calisthenics, you know, those are some of the pros. You know, you can become strong, you can compete, and, you know, you can win a title. You know, you can also compete in the other sports, or the other styles, I should say. And then the cons of weighted calisthenics can be that, again, it's kind of just black and white. You know, you're kind of stuck with these movements. You know, you're not going to be doing a weighted archer pull-up in a competition, for example. That's not one of the requirements. So, you know, yeah, you can train it for fun, but, you know, it's, again, it's just for you, and it's for you to progressively overload the movement. And if that's your thing, then that's your thing. But it simply is just not my style, because I feel like I can't express my creativity enough within this style, and that's why I chose dynamics and statics. Like I said, I used to skateboard back in the day, so things like combinations remind me of the term lines in skateboarding, where you do trick after trick after trick to create a line, and in, you know, calisthenics, it's called combination. So you do skill after skill after skill, and that creates a combination of the skills. And that's why I choose to do that, because yeah, you can express yourself a little bit better, and it tends to be more fun, and it brings back some nostalgia as well. And that's everything I've wanted to cover in this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something new, and I hope it brought some new perspective and maybe helped you decide on what you want to work towards. Because if you have just started calisthenics and yeah, you're doing the sets and reps style, where you're building up your basics, you're trying to get more reps, and you're like, ooh, I've seen these guys do crazy dynamics, and ooh, okay, I've seen these guys do crazy statics, but oh, I don't know which one. You can actually do both, you know. They actually go well and well with each other, but if you get injured in dynamics, it's going to affect your statics, you know. And it's two different types of strength. So, you know, there's people that are more complete, like Daniel Herstoff is, you know, the world champion, and, you know, he's freaking a beast at freestyle statics, and so he's a perfect example that you can do both. But majority of the time, people have their strengths, and the people that I've met, you know, they're either really good at statics and they're really good in planche, but then they might suffer a little bit in front lever, and they probably don't do dynamics at all. And then I've met people that are crazy good at dynamics, but then they don't really do front lever and planche at all, you know, so they don't do statics. And it's completely up to you. So hopefully this covered everything that you need to know. Like I said, I hope I didn't offend anyone with what I said. It's just almost like a neutral opinion, and it's just a bit of education for the people that don't know this type of information. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.